Hello everyone, this is Andrew at Crown Academy of English. Today we are doing a lesson about the present perfect and in particular about the form. So let's start. Dad, I have cleaned my bedroom. Can I go to the park? Okay, good. See you later. Okay, so this is the present perfect. Okay, so this is the present perfect affirmative. I have cleaned. I have cleaned. You have cleaned. He, she, or it has cleaned. We have cleaned. You have cleaned. And they have cleaned. So if we now analyze the form, then this is what it looks like. Okay, the subject, and then we have the verb have in the present simple form. For example, I have, you have, he has. And then at the end we have the verb in the past participle form. Okay, so this is the past participle of the verb clean. And this part, have, we are using have as an auxiliary verb. And the important part here is in the third person singular, it changes, it is has. And this one is the main verb. So clean is the main verb, and this is the past participle. So for a regular verb like clean, we add ed to the verb to form the past participle. Okay? So that is the affirmative. Now let's look at the contracted form of the affirmative. So I have cleaned, I've cleaned. So we put an apostrophe and then the letters V, E, and we pronounce it as one syllable, I've. You've cleaned. He's cleaned. She's cleaned. It's cleaned. We've cleaned. You've cleaned. They've cleaned. Okay? Now the negative form. I have not cleaned the car. So here is the negative form of the present perfect. I have not cleaned. You have not cleaned. He, she, it has not cleaned. We have not cleaned. You have not cleaned. They have not cleaned. Subject. The verb have in the correct form of the present simple. The word not. And then the past participle form again. Okay? And as always, be careful of he, she, it. It is the only one where we say has and not have. And notice that always the past participle form, the form is always the same for each subject. So this never changes. Okay? So that makes it a little bit easier. Now the contracted form of the negative. I haven't cleaned. You haven't cleaned. He hasn't cleaned. She hasn't cleaned. It hasn't cleaned. We haven't cleaned. You haven't cleaned. They haven't cleaned. Question form. Have you visited Buckingham Palace? So here is the question form. Have I visited? Have you visited? Has he, she, it visited? Have we visited? Have you visited? And have they visited? So we have the verb have in the present simple form, subject, and again the verb in the past participle form, and a question mark. Don't forget the question mark to show that it is a question. And as always, don't forget this is has. This is the only part that changes. Question form, another type of question. What has she cooked for dinner? Why have you done that? Where have they gone? Okay, so in all of these examples, in red, this is the normal form for the question. Okay, we have just seen that. We saw that on the previous slide. And we can also ask a question, another type of question, by adding a question word before the form, here in blue. So we can ask a question with a question word by adding the question word to the front of the sentence. So here we can add a question word, either what, where, why, who, or how, followed by the verb have, subject, and the verb in the past participle form with a question mark. Now the past participle spelling rules. These are the same spelling rules as for the past simple form. Okay, so if you already know those, they are the same. But here is some revision. So regular verbs simply add ed. Walk, walked. Clean, cleaned. So I have walked, I have cleaned. Regular verbs ending in a silent e, add d. I have died. I have closed. Regular verbs ending in a consonant and the letter y, we change the y to I and add ed. I have hurried. I have carried. IED. Regular verbs ending in a vowel and a letter y, add ed. I have stayed. I have played. Ed. Regular verbs with one syllable ending in a consonant and a vowel and a consonant. Double a consonant and add ed. I have stopped. I have planned. So we double the p and add ed. Irregular verbs, past participle. So here is a list of a few common irregular verbs. I have been. I have broken. I have bought. I have chosen. I have come. I have done. I have drunk. I have eaten. I have gone. I have had. I have made. I have run, I have said, I have seen, I have thought, and many more. Unfortunately, there are no rules for these irregular verbs. You must simply learn them. Okay? So every time you learn an irregular verb, you must learn the past participle. Position of adverbs. An example of adverbs that we can use with the present perfect: always, only, never, ever, still, just, already, and there are others. So how do we position these words? Well, in the affirmative, we can say, we have just arrived in London. Here is the present perfect, and here is the adverb. I have only cleaned the bathroom. Present perfect, adverb. So the adverb is between the past participle and the auxiliary verb have. Question form: have you ever visited London? So the present perfect and the adverb. Has he already left the office? And so the adverb, again, it goes between the past participle and the question form of the auxiliary verb have. So after the subject, in fact. Okay? Exercises. Put the words in brackets into the affirmative present perfect form, but do not use the contracted form. Example. So I want you to put the verb clean in the present perfect form. The answer is, my parents have cleaned the kitchen. So question 1. I'll give you a couple of seconds, or you can pause the video. Okay, so the answer is, Mark has eaten all the sandwiches. This is irregular. Question 2. So the answer here is, I have finished my English homework. Okay. Exercise 2. This time I want you to put the words in brackets into the negative present perfect. And I want you to use the contracted form. Example. So the answer here is, the children haven't cleaned their teeth. Question 1. We haven't prepared the meeting. Question 2. My sister hasn't visited Buckingham Palace. Exercise 3. This time, put the words in brackets in the question form. Example. Have they cleaned the bathroom? Question 1. Has Richard done the shopping? And question 2. Have you dropped a plate? Okay? So those are the exercises.